Ayala has been around 190 years. As a company, we've always aligned ourselves to national interest. We've had very high standards on governance and stewardship. I guess as you start to think about sustainability and ESG, we've always aligned ourselves to what the needs were. What was interesting in terms of the journey that took us to here was what we call a creating shared value or CSV framework, which was a way of ensuring that the way we conducted business was sustainable and that all of our stakeholders participated in the wealth and in the benefits of how we do business. ESG came in through different stages. Part of it was, to be quite honest, started off with resource efficiencies, waste management, making sure that we optimize the use of resources. But as and when the climate issues became much more evident, then we started to move into a more formal ecosystem and effort that would align us to the broader global initiatives as far as the environment was concerned. So it's been ingrained. In 2021, where we committed to achieve net zero greenhouse emissions. By 2050, we took in a consultant, a company named South Pole, and the whole idea was to actually take a much more disciplined approach towards measuring, developing interim targets towards the broader group of Ayala companies hitting net zero by 2050. We felt that ESG needed oversight at the highest level. And it's that kind of a commitment that ensures that the objectives are met.
If we kept the coal plants, we would not be investable from an ESG investor standpoint. If we sold it, divested it, that wouldn't be the most responsible thing. And if we shut it down overnight, that would also be irresponsible because the grid still needs it. Not to mention that it is gonna be destructive to shareholder value. In early 2021, the relatively new concept of energy transition mechanism provided us an insight and opportunity in terms of addressing what we as a group wanted to achieve, which is a transition away from coal and focus on renewables, but at the same time do it in a responsible manner. And we were fortunate enough that at the time, the Asian Development Bank was pushing this concept of ETM in Asia and the Pacific. So we rapidly latched onto the concept and decided to implement it. We had to approach investors still investing in coal plants, but with a purpose of retiring them earlier than their operating or technical life. In the case of the Philippines, we have worked with banks such as BPI, Bank of the Philippine Islands, and RCBC, who, by the way, have a policy against coal lending, but did a carve-out or an updated board policy to support the first energy transition mechanism. Similar case with insurance companies, again based in the Philippines, who were the pioneer equity investors for this deal. It was important for us to work with like-minded institutions to enable the first ETM structure in the world. And I think the good thing about this pilot, while modest in size, it demonstrates the proof of concept.
You need first unwavering commitment from the people who are trying to put together the package. You need first new project sponsors or new equity investors who are willing to take a rate that was lower than the return on their investment that was lower than the original project had envisioned. Second, you need lenders who are not only comfortable with the credit, right? You need lenders who are also willing to give what I would call a subsidized rate or a green rate, if you will, right? The ability to say, yes, it's good for the environment, it's good for my sustainability agenda, but it also makes economic sense. And I think that's the third part in the equation. It makes sense in places where communities and countries where there is a clear need for coal, but there is a clear plan of the government and the private sector in that country that you have this desire to transition to renewable. We were also very proud at BPI that this is the first kind of transaction in the world, and that it really shows our commitment, not only as a financing institution, but as a group, to looking for innovative ways and imaginative ways to find solutions to some of our current problems to make sure that the environment is better in the future.
I'm a firm believer in incentivizing people to do it, but I think the regulators have a role to play. They're the ones closest to the ground. They're the ones that have to wade into the trade-offs between trying to address current problems versus future problems in many cases. And so what we really do need are, I think, very insightful regulators and governing bodies to help push the agenda, so to speak.